Hello and welcome back. First, I'd like to say a big thank you to Little Miss Brittany 3 and X Miss Booklover X, who are my two latest subscribers. Thank you so much to both of you, I really appreciate it. And now, on with the haul. Although it is a Hopkins off week, I managed to get two films from the McNaughton Popular Viewing Collection, which I actually have not been able to do for a little while because I was able to get a fair number of the backlog of films I wanted from there, and now they're just the super new releases that everybody's checking out. It's really hard to get. But I got You Don't Know Jack, The Life and Deaths of Jack Kevorkian, starring Al Pacino. This is an HBO biopic about Jack Kevorkian, who is a big figure in the assisted suicide movement, very controversial. I'm not sure why I really wanted to see this. I guess I just heard it was good. Al Pacino's a pretty big name, or not a pretty big name, he's a really big name. And I was really pleasantly surprised by the latest HBO biopic I saw, Temple Grandin. So I figured I might as well give it a try. It's 2¼ hours, so I'm not sure I'll make it all the way through. And the other one I got was a film called Mercy. This is a film about a novelist who manages to break through this block he has about forming relationships with other people and falls in love with a book critic or something like that. I haven't seen it yet, but the little somewhat inept synopsis from the library catalog made it sound kind of interesting. And next, from University of Baltimore, I got Quantum of Solace. Now, I really hate James Bond films. Actually, the first one I saw was Tomorrow Never Dies, which I kind of liked, because I didn't realize that they're all the same, and they all have this kind of stupid pattern to them, and now whenever I try to watch a James Bond film, the old ones, the new ones, any of them, I just either get bored to tears, or I get really annoyed because most of them are really sexist. And I don't know, I mean, I've seen sexist movies before, and I can often just put that aside, but for some reason with the James Bond films, it just annoys me to no end. But, two words for you, Daniel Craig. I am just a huge Daniel Craig fan. He first came to my attention when I hadn't even seen the film Sylvia yet, but I just saw the preview for Sylvia, and I thought to myself, gee, who is that guy playing Ted Hughes? And then later I saw the film, and it was Daniel Craig, and I thought he was great. And I saw a bunch of his other films, Enduring Love, Layer Cake, just a lot of good films. And I also recently discovered that he was in a ton of Masterpiece Theater things back in the day. He was in Moll Flanders, he was in The Ice House, and I actually just recently saw a film he did called The Mother, which is absolutely amazing, and I highly recommend it. So I'm a huge Daniel Craig fan, and lately he's become a big deal in Hollywood, and he started just doing junk that I have no interest in seeing. I have no interest in seeing Munich, I have no interest in seeing Defiance, and I really wasn't interested in James Bond, but this one's kind of short for a James Bond film, so I decided just to go for it. And it was not that horrible. I mean, I wasn't crazy about it. If it hadn't been for Daniel Craig, I wouldn't have watched it all the way through. But it wasn't that bad, and as far as like the sexism goes, it wasn't as over the top as a lot of them are. And it didn't have as many of these really long, drawn-out chase scenes that I guess are maybe kind of cool when you see them on the big screen, but just when you're sitting at home watching, it's like, is this ever going to end? So, and Judi Dench was in it. She was great, and great foil for him. So I can't say I'd recommend this, but it wasn't really that painful. And now I'm probably going to try his version of Casino Royale again, because I tried to watch that once and I got really bored. But it's Daniel Craig. And then from the Stevenson University Library, I got Videos by Sadie Benning, which is 2 volumes. Sadie Benning is a pretty well-known, I guess, avant-garde or experimental filmmaker. She started making these videos when she was 15, just on a home camera, and they are these, I guess, non-narrative, or they're not all non-narrative. They have kind of an experimental look to them, but a lot of them have stories. But I guess just these avant-garde shorts about her coming of age, coming to terms with her lesbian identity, that kind of thing. And they reminded me in some ways, although not really in any specific ways I can point to, of Cindy Sherman's work. Cindy Sherman is a photographer, and I don't know, I just kind of felt this connection a little bit there, but as I say, nothing I could really point to. I enjoyed these. They were, as I said, they're all pretty short. I think maybe seeing one sustained over a long period of time might get a little tiring, but I'd recommend them. And last but not least, from the Sights and Sounds department of the Enoch Pratt Free Library, first I got Tokyo Twilight, which is yet another film by Yasujiro Ozu. I seem to have become addicted to Ozu all of a sudden. And this one I was not as pleased with as the others I've seen recently. It felt, compared to his usual really understated stories, this one just felt a little bit soapy. And, I mean, it certainly wasn't bad. There's a lot worse out there, and just, I guess with what I've been coming to expect from Ozu, it didn't quite meet my expectations. But I still liked it, and just not quite as much as Tokyo Story, Late Spring, or The End of Summer. Then I got Burnt by the Sun, which is another film from Nikita Mikhalkov, who did Oblomov, which I was raving about a few weeks ago. This one is about a high-ranking Soviet official who goes on vacation with his wife's family to their dacha, and then his wife's lost love shows up. And I haven't really gotten much farther than that, but complications are sure to ensue. And like Oblomov, this is just beautifully shot, really just gorgeous to look at. And then, this is a rather odd-looking little film. This is Harvey Crumpet. I was talking to my favorite Sights and Sounds librarian, and he's a lot more into animation than I am. I really know extremely little about animation. And he said, "Have you seen Harvey Crumpet?" And I was like, have I seen what? I mean, is he related to Harvey Pekar? I don't know. I've only heard of Harvey Pekar because Paul Giamatti and Hope Davis did that American Splendor movie. So he walked over to the animation stacks and said, "You've got to see this." And this looks really odd. It's about this man who is just beset by ill luck. He has Tourette's syndrome, testicular cancer, and I think Alzheimer's, or yeah, he's got Alzheimer's, all kinds of terrible stuff. But it's supposed to be a dark comedy. And it's only 71 minutes, so what the heck? And if I hate it, I'll know who to blame. And then I got Me and Mrs. Jones, which is one of these Masterpiece Theater productions. This is a contemporary story. It stars Robson Green, who was in the Succès de Scandale of Masterpiece Theater, Reckless, which you may remember my checking that out a while ago. And I was actually a little disappointed by it, just with all the hoopla surrounding it. I thought it was going to be so much better. But anyway, this is not Reckless. This is Me and Mrs. Jones. And Robson Green stars as a gossipy political columnist who goes by the name Mrs. Jones. And he's sent to dig up dirt on the Prime Minister, and they end up falling in love, but the Prime Minister's married, and etc., etc. Have not seen this yet. And then last but not least, I got the Masterpiece Theater adaptation of The Mill on the Floss, starring Emily Watson, who is perhaps not in the big pantheon of British stars, but she's pretty well known. She was in Hilary and Jackie, she was in Metroland. I'm interested in seeing this because I almost literally just finished reading the George Eliot novel, and I was kind of disappointed in it. I thought it had some amazing scenes, but overall it just felt really heavy and long. And as you can see, it's not really that long a book, but it just felt so drawn out. So I'm looking forward to seeing the adaptation, and maybe they've streamlined it a bit, but kept some of the power in there. And if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me for my next video.